Hey, welcome to Planet Hex. I'm Andrew Horn. This is a show where I talk about a lot of VHS tapes, VHS culture, cult movies, games, comics, the writing life, retro action figures, collectibles, all kinds of stuff like that, and scratches that nostalgic itch. As I'm middle-aged now, nostalgia is all I have left. On this episode, I'm going to talk about some more of the VHS culture that I've found around the web. Some of it good, some of it a little weird, and this episode I'm not going to talk about all of those pieces that always talk about what things are worth. The VHS tapes you've got hidden in your basement, your loft, your veins, your car boot, worry about those. I'm not going to talk about that because they are there's just so many of them and they all say the same thing. But yes, on this episode I'm going to talk about some VHS culture that I have found online. Before I do, I am so pleased to have back in my collection one of my Grail tapes that I had sold off previously when I'd done the first vhsatemybrain back in 2014, and long before I did the revised edition and the sequel, out now. So yes, I have Neon Maniacs finally back in my collection, and this is a minty copy. This is real, well, apart from a little bash on the top of the case. The cover is in great shape, the tape is in great shape, and something I've not had from any one I've bought VHS from before. They've included the silica gel. Don't eat it; it's lethal. In the case, I think that's a really good idea to help against tape mold. If I'm wrong about that, please do comment down below. That would be really cool. But it is a really cool looking copy. This and the Video Dead were my my two main grails, and I sold them off like an idiot. And yeah, by God, I've had seller's remorse for years now. But this I found for a great price. I'm hoping that a decent priced Video Dead comes up that doesn't make me go eee. But this looks awesome. I'm so looking forward to revisiting this. The tape is in great shape, so I'm hoping the movie looks great as well. The other thing I've been checking out this week, two print items. So one, I fancied this. We went around Hopkinson's in Nottingham. It's if you know Manchester, it's a bit like Affleck's Palace, but cool. Look at this in Nottingham. I'm kidding, it's all right. And there's a place there called Zone 21. I've got some video footage from that place, but that will be coming in a future episode. But I picked up a copy of Whizzer and Chips. Back when I was a kid, I was a big fan of the Beano, the Dandy, Beezer, and what was it, Topper? And Whizzer and Chips, and it's just really cool to have one of these. This is from 1983, so it's a little bit before I was reading them. I think I started in about 86, and it's just really cool to have one of these. So this is when Whizzer and Chips was put together into one comic, and Chips is inside and labelled as a competitor. Where is it? There it is. It's all printed on newsprint as well, so it's just kind of, it's about as retro as it gets, this. And it's, there we go, Chips is inside as a separate comic. And that was so good, so good. Something I did pick up from one of my favourite places this past week, which is sadly closing, that weird shop is closing shortly, is this wonderful issue of Fangoria. This is one I've not had in my collection before. So this is it's from 1989 and has a bunch of stuff in about Nightmare on Elm Street 5. There's some Jason stuff. It's actually billed as a Freddy and Jason issue. But there's a load of cool stuff in this. Mainly at the moment I use the retro magazines I've got as shopping list for movies I may not have heard of from that era, because of course this is my whole jam, 80s movies. So this has been a pleasure to be going through. I've not finished it yet. There's still some goodies to be enjoyed in this, but this is shaping up really well and absolutely loving it. So on to this week's topic. Well, what's been going on in the world of VHS? What have I found from around the web? So the first thing I want to bring to your attention tonight is this piece on Gizmodo.com. This is from December 9th last year, but it is still very, very pertinent. There's a lot to think about here. Releasing new movies on VHS is officially a new yet retro trend. To be honest, people have been re-releasing and releasing new stuff on VHS for quite a while now. This isn't a new thing, but it has been far, far smaller, much more niche, Massacre Video and stuff like that in the States. So what they've talked about here is Stream and a 90s throwback film Y2K are next to hit the format after Alien Romulus. There's the Alien Romulus released by Vice Press, with art from my dude Matt Ferguson, who I used to work with in the comic shop. Absolute star. Check out his work online; it is stunning. Check out his work. You probably own some of it in your collections if you have a lot of if you have a film library. But that's so cool. But I like the idea where people are considering this and considering to release new stuff on this old format. Yeah, the old format is not great, not the best quality when you compare it to things like Blu-ray and even DVD, of course. But there is something about it. There is something that scratches that itch, as I mentioned earlier, that nostalgia itch. There is something in the shared muscle memory of video stores and VHS tapes, and there is something quite special about that. To think that something that was maligned for a while when DVD came along and streaming and so on, has found its place again amongst enthusiasts all over the world. So that's really cool. Speaking of which, the next Vice Press release has been announced, and it's going to be They Live. That's perfection. Absolutely perfection. I love that. They Live is a great film, and Vice Press is a great company. They put out some really, really cool stuff. So I'm really excited to see that on there. I may even have to try and get hold of a copy of that. But it looks brilliant. It's been done with love for the format. So you've got the original cover, you've got a new cover, and you've got the tape looking really, really good. So just mwah, They Live, you can't beat that. And how can you not love that on tape? So the next thing I found here, this is over on timeextension.com. This was an interesting one. A rare VHS from Data East and Capcom's Fighters History Trial has been found. So back in the day, this is from last October, but it's one I've not talked about. I don't think I have. Capcom tried to sue Data East over the fighting game they released, Fighters History, which bore a lot of similarities to Street Fighter. And there was a tape had been found with the character comparison between Fighters History and Street Fighter. So that is on YouTube, or you can find this piece on timeextension.com, which is a really interesting piece, going into the details about this tape and what it meant to that particular trial. Do check that out. There's a lot of these things that you can find online where it's strange offshoots from stuff. If you have something that you particularly like horror movies or video games or music or anything like that, if you look on places like the Internet Archive or Daily Motion, or indeed here on YouTube, you're more than likely going to be able to find something that's adjacent to it. Like look up, if you're a fan of Mortal Kombat, for example, look up the Mortal Kombat footage that's on there. There's a load of footage on these sites and these outlets that shows the original Mortal Kombat being made. So you see the sprites being photographed, like Daniel Pacina as Sub-Zero and Scorpion and Smoke and Reptile, and God knows how many other color swaps they did on that. But that's really cool to look up as well. So anything that's a retro niche interest you have, do check out online, because there may be something ripped from VHS tapes that may interest you with that as well. This one was sweet. A lady in Arizona. It's not the greatest headline. Arizona woman finds a VHS tape inside a VCR she recently bought. But this is a really sweet story about, an Arizona woman. She bought a VCR and it had a tape in it. And on that tape was a home movie of Christmas morning 1989. The little boy playing in the snow, cuts to Christmas morning, opening his presents, and then they visit family. And it's just beautiful. And this lady is trying to find out who the kid was. And I think that's adorable. These are the things that you will not find elsewhere. Home movies, things that capture news events and just the world as it was in different eras. It's amazing. This is the first time we've been able to gather this stuff historically. I mean, there were cinefilms and short films and little bits of black and white footage in years gone by, but being able to see people interacting and hear them and see the world around them, granted in VHS quality, but still being able to see this stuff is quite a gift, I think. So do check that one out. That's on kyma.com, kyma.com. Not been to that site before. Now, this interested me. This is over on Screen Daily, and it again refers to the International Film Festival Rotterdam. And there's been a bunch of tape stuff on that. Talked about this in a previous episode of Planet Hex, where this festival is talking about, is doing a big thing on VHS and video culture as it was. So he has a movie here called Video Heaven. So loosely inspired by the 2014 book Videoland Movie Culture at the America Video Store, it's a film essay constructed around clips from films and TV shows featuring neighborhood video stores, everything from Friends to I Am Legend. That sounds really interesting. And in the interview here, he does talk about the influence of VHS culture and video shop culture. And that is something that has vanished now. And it needs to come back in some form or other, I would say. Again on Screen Daily. And again, with Rotterdam, video culture comes into focus. At Rotterdam, we all grew up in the VHS period. So this is talking about a retrospective of video stores, whole video in your hands. Do check that out as well. It's on the same site, Screen Daily, all about the International Film Festival in Rotterdam. Now, there's a film here on hackaday.com. Sorry, film here. A feature here, Redbox in the 80s meet the VHS vending behemoth. Now, check that out. I don't think Redbox made it over here. I think that was the US only. But the idea of video vending machines is just so cool. Imagine seeing a giant selection of VHS tapes in the street. I did find one recently, actually, a giant selection of them at Hopkinson's I mentioned. It's over there, clearly, and here in Nottingham. Hopkinson's is the big place next to Nottingham train station. So if you are ever here, do check it out, because there's some crazy things in there. Absolutely amazing. But there was one little stall in there that was just full of VHS tapes, and I'm all for that. So, yeah, Redbox was this the service like pre-Netflix where you could get VHS tapes. And it does include a YouTube video, Lost Technologies 1985 videotape vending machine restore part 1. So they're actually restoring it. I'm going to check that out because that sounds so fun. But it is amazing to think these things existed. I remember seeing like early Netflix machines. Was it Netflix? That might have been Redbox in the UK. I remember DVD machines being around, where you just get a disc in a little envelope. But I don't remember VHS machines being around at all. If anyone had one nearby in the UK, let me know in the comments below. That'd be really cool to find out about. But that's a good one. That's on hackaday.com. Now, we've got one here over on IFFR.com. Again, the International Film Festival in Rotterdam. Just something else to appreciate here. They are really getting into the whole video culture thing, and I really wish I could have gone to this. So this is Dawn of a New Day, the man behind VHS. And this is a documentary of JVC, about JVC, their journey to create an affordable home system in the 70s, emphasizing the dignity, decency, and ordinariness of the engineers behind VHS. That sounds wonderful. Probably one for the niche people. I don't know how wide the appeal of this would be, but I'm going to have to check this out. It says it's from 2002, and I've not heard of this before. I need to really widen my outlook on things I do look for, because I'm very much focused on UK and America. But when it comes to this stuff, of course, VHS was a global phenomenon. So I'm going to check that out. I'm going to see what that has to say about it, and just see the birth of this stuff, because that's just so cool. There is a feature here, unmissable B-movie gems of the VHS era. This is going to be the last one tonight. I'm just curious to see what they've listed here. So this is over on flickeringmyth.com, and let's see what they've got listed. I can see Flesh Gordon's on there and stuff like that. So let's have a look what we've got in this list. Unmissable B-movies of the 90s. And I did watch a lot of B-movies in the 90s. Proud to say that. Still watch a lot of B-movies now. And below. So C, D, X, not X. I'll mention that on here. So, okay. Starting off strong, we've got Transers. Perfect. Perfection. Love Transers. I've talked about that a lot on this channel. If you haven't seen Transers before, go see it. Check it out. The first three, there are 5 of them. The first 3 are great. 4th and 5th, they're a bit silly, but I do like the first 3. The first one is by far the best. I love it. Tim Thomerson just being fantastic as future cop Jack Death. That's a really, really good one. It's from Charles Band, Empire Pictures, so you know. Scanner Cop. There were Scanners, there was Scanners 2, and there was Scanner Force as well. And Scanner Cop was one of those spin-offs, and that just took the idea of the original movie Scanners, which is a classic, and ran with it and took it in different directions. And as you can see there, very different directions. So what else have we got? Retroactive. Who's in that? Jim Belushi. Is that Tracy Lords? Let's see who that is. Looks like Tracy Lords. But anyway, that time loop action thriller that nails the action part and features James Belushi as the antagonist tormenting Kylie Travis, who finds herself accidentally stepping into a loop. That sounds interesting. I've not seen that before, so I will check that out. Yeah, I'm into that idea. It's going to have some 90s effects in it, some 90s action, and all that good stuff. The Hidden. Okay, they've listed The Hidden here. That is a great movie. It's got Kyle MacLachlan, it's got Claudia Christian in it, and like an Invasion of the Body Snatchers sort of thing, but do check that out. If you've never watched The Hidden, that is an absolute gem. What else have we got? Dollman, yep, that's fine by me. Tim Thomerson again, another Charles Band production. Dead Heat, a cop and his zombie buddy, yep. Joe Piscopo. I've watched this recently. I found it on, I think it was Plex. I think I found it on Plex or Chibi. I think it was Plex, and it is a buddy cop action movie with a horror twist and a bunch of comedy. It's very, very dated now, but it's still a lot of fun. The Stuff, yeah, that would show up on this as well. I was going to say it's not 90s. Hang on, that's far before the 90s, surely. Pumpkinhead. Did this say 90s or just VHS era? Oh yeah, it's just VHS. That's all right then. Sorry, I forgot that it didn't say that. So yeah, The Stuff was one of those things I would always see at the video store, and it had a very tatty case, and the tatty case told me that it had been rented a lot. So that was like a good mark of quality, or in the case of The Stuff, not a good mark of quality, but it's ridiculous and has some quite memorable visuals in there. So Pumpkinhead over here, I believe it came out as Vengeance the Demon, the first one, and the sequel, Pumpkinhead Bloodwings, came out with Pumpkinhead, and after that re-releases of Pumpkinhead came out called Pumpkinhead. Not to everyone's tastes, but the puppetry, the effects in those, and the atmosphere in the Pumpkinhead movies are really, really cool. Stepfather, never saw that. Didn't really appeal to me because it was more a thriller than like a horror or sci-fi movie. Deathstalker 2, Duel of the Titans. Oh man. Yeah, look that up. It's just like, what Conan was to fantasy movies, this is more like Xena with an even smaller budget. Seriously, that's not a bad article. There's some good choices there. Yeah, Deathstalker 2. I would add, I don't know, Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity, Creepazoids, stuff like that. Those are fun as well. But there's a lot to check out. So do keep up to date with what's going on in the latest news of the world of VHS tapes and VHS collecting and cult movies in general, because there is so much fun to be had with these things. And if you want to read about them, I do recommend some books, VHS Ate My Brain and VHS Ate My Brain 2: The Revenge. You can find those on Amazon, and I greatly recommend those. I enjoyed writing those. Those were a lot of fun. If you like this, please do like, subscribe. The VHS Ate My Brain podcast is coming back, as well as now Planet Hex is back and running again after my hiatus. The podcast is coming back very soon with a full catch-up episode. And there's lots more of this stuff to come, and I will have a new VHS themed book out this year. It's not VHS Ate My Brain 3, but it is a spin-off, the first of several spin-offs of VHS Ate My Brain, so look out for that, and more news on that very soon right here on this channel. But thank you for watching this episode of Planet Hex.